Imagine tracking an internal credit score,
Huh.
but not with a bank or a financial institution,
Mm.
with yourself.
Right. Like a psychological credit score.
Exactly. Every single time you hit the snooze button on a morning run or, you skip a hard task you swore you would tackle, your score drops.
You're taking a hit to your own integrity.
Yeah. And eventually, your own mind just stops lending you the motivation to do anything difficult because, well, your history proves you won't follow through anyway.
It's such a brilliant way to view human behavior, honestly.
It really is. And today, we are doing a deep dive into a framework that treats your personal integrity like a literal currency. It maps out exactly how to build your internal wealth.
And what makes this so fascinating is that we aren't discussing some new productivity hack out of Silicon Valley here.
Right.
We are actually unpacking a 2,500-year-old Buddhist concept called Garabhasa Dhamma 4.
And just to be super clear right up front, we are approaching this from a strictly secular, highly practical angle today.
Yeah, totally down to earth.
Right. We're taking these concepts completely off the pedestal. No incense, no chanting required. We are treating this as a modern toolkit for surviving a high-stakes workplace, balancing your family life, and just generally keeping your mind intact.
That down-to-earth lens is so crucial. It shifts the focus from, monastic ideals to the gritty reality of daily life.
The daily grinds.
Exactly. The philosophy introduces 4 distinct virtues, but it frames them as actionable tools for navigating stress.
So let's start with that internal credit score idea, because that forms the absolute foundation of this entire system.
The bedrock of it all.
Right. The first concept is called sajja, which traditionally translates to truthfulness or sincerity.
Yes, sincerity.
But practically speaking, the source material redefines it as treating your word as absolute credit.
And viewing sincerity as a currency is just a really powerful mental model. I mean, think about how a credit score functions in the financial world.
It's all about history, right?
Exactly. It's built entirely on a verifiable history of small, transparent, reliable actions. You pay your bill on time, the score goes up.
Makes sense.
So in this context, sajja means, showing up for a family dinner when you promised you would. It means delivering a quarterly report by Friday morning without your boss needing to chase you down.
I can easily see how that functions externally. Like, every kept promise is a deposit. People see a high balance, they trust you, and they want to collaborate with you.
Right, you're a safe investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every missed deadline is a withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly every interaction becomes this exhausting negotiation because people are wary of lending you their trust.
Absolutely.
But I want to push on the internal side of this, because we all instinctively understand why lying to a manager is bad for our career.
Sure.
But if I set my alarm for 5 a.m. to go to the gym and I just hit snooze instead, who am I actually hurting?
Right, it's just you in the room.
Yeah. It's my body, my alarm clock, my morning. Why does that matter so much?
Well, that is the most common blind spot we have regarding self-discipline. And it completely ignores how human psychology actually operates.
Oh, really? How so?
So your brain is a highly efficient, entirely unsympathetic pattern recognition machine.
Unsympathetic. I like that.
Right. It constantly monitors your behavior to figure out what kind of person you are.
Okay.
So when you tell yourself, I am going to do this difficult thing at 5 a.m., and then you don't, you are actively teaching your nervous system that your own word is meaningless.
Wow. So I am basically defaulting on a loan to myself. And my brain remembers that default.
It remembers and it adjusts your baseline drive accordingly.
That is wild.
It really is. The next time you try to tackle a major career pivot or commit to a new health regimen, your brain reviews your internal credit history.
And it says, nope, denied.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It essentially says, we both know you aren't going to follow through, so you lose access to your own willpower.
But on the flip side, if you establish this baseline sincerity, if you maintain a high sajja score with yourself, that must create a profound sense of self-efficacy.
Oh, absolutely. If you are ruthlessly sincere with your own goals, you eliminate that constant draining internal negotiation.
Right. You don't wake up and debate whether you're going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
You just do it because you told yourself you would. It's a done deal.
And the ripple effect of that reliability on your environment is massive. Operating with that level of rock-solid sincerity eliminates the paranoia and those petty conflicts that drain so much energy.
Yeah. In a workplace or a household, people just know exactly where they stand.
Which creates deep psychological safety for everyone involved.
Okay. So you build this pristine credit score. You're reliable. You trust yourself. Your coworkers trust you. But reality is messy, right? It's unpredictable.
Very messy.
You can have the best intentions in the world, and then a colleague hits reply all on an email, and blatantly throws you under the bus in front of the entire department.
We've all been there.
Right. So in that heat-of-the-moment surge of pure rage, how do you stop yourself from typing out a furious response and burning your hard-earned credit score to the ground?
Well, that exact scenario requires a transition from simply being reliable to actively mastering your own reactions.
Okay.
This brings in the second concept, which is TEMA. It's essentially self-training and self-mastery.
Self-training.
Right. If your word is the currency, TEMA is the security system protecting it. It's the mechanism that stops you from destroying your life's work in 3 seconds of frustration.
The practical application of this really caught my eye in the sources. It's essentially the ancient version of the 5-second rule.
Yes.
Not the rule about dropping food on the floor, obviously, but a strict, mandatory psychological pause.
Exactly.
When that reply all email hits your inbox and your heart rate spikes, you don't pretend you weren't furious.
Yeah.
You feel the anger, but you force a 5-second delay before you type a single word or open your mouth.
And the brilliance of that 5-second delay is entirely backed by modern neurology.
Oh, really? It lines up with the science.
Totally. When you feel threatened or insulted, your amygdala, the primitive emotional center of the brain, it hijacked your nervous system.
It triggers the fight or flight response.
Right. And the logical reasoning part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, literally takes a few seconds to boot up and assess the situation.
So by forcing that pause, you are just giving your executive function time to come online.
Exactly. You're waiting for the adult in the room to wake up.
I completely hear the logic in that, but let's take it out of the inbox and put it in a physical boardroom.
Okay, let's do it.
Picture a fast-paced meeting, right? The stakes are incredibly high, and someone blatantly challenges your data in front of leadership.
High stress.
Yeah. And in that specific environment, silence is usually eaten alive by louder voices.
Mm-hmm.
If I just sit there for 5 seconds looking at them, doesn't that make me look weak?
That's a common fear, yeah.
Doesn't it look like I'm caught off guard and just don't have a comeback?
Well, we are culturally conditioned to think the fastest response is the strongest one, but rapid-fire reactions are usually defensive and uncalculated.
That's true.
Think about how an animal reacts to being poked. It snaps instantly. It's a pure reflex.
Right.
When you take a deliberate pause in a high-tension room, you subvert everyone's expectations. You prove that you are not simply reacting blindly to a stimulus.
You are consciously choosing your response.
Exactly. Letting the silence hang in the air almost forces the other person to sit with their own aggression.
Oh, wow. That projects tremendous power, actually.
It does. The philosophy describes this as achieving a still mind. In a chaotic corporate meeting, the person with the still mind controls the temperature of the room.
They set the pace.
Right. That pause drastically reduces the chance of making a fatal emotional error in your argument. And it signals to everyone else that your internal operating system is fully under your control.
Speaking of operating systems, there's a second half to this self-training concept that feels incredibly relevant today. It's not just about managing anger.
No, not at all.
It's about not becoming obsolete.
Yes. The requirement to continually upgrade yourself is baked into this concept.
Because the modern world moves at an astonishing pace.
It really does. Self-mastery means acknowledging that the skills that worked 5 years ago won't necessarily keep you employed tomorrow.
Right. You have to actively learn new technologies, adapt to new AI tools, and just refine your expertise.
It's a refusal to accept yourself as a finished, static product.
So you are simultaneously patching the bugs, like that tendency to snap at people when you're stressed,
Yeah.
while downloading new features to stay competitive. It's a continuous rollout of a better version of yourself.
That's a perfect analogy.
But let's look at the limitations here. The 5-second pause is a fantastic tool for a sudden trigger,
Sure.
a snarky comment on an aggressive driver. But those are acute problems. What happens when the stressor isn't 5 seconds, but 5 years?
Ah, right, the long haul.
Yeah, like a toxic boss who isn't going anywhere. Or something much closer to home, like the grueling daily reality of caring for an elderly parent with fading health.
That is incredibly draining.
You can't 5-second pause your way out of dementia care.
No, you can't. And you hit on the exact limitation of acute emotional control right there.
Okay.
Sustained, crushing pressure requires a completely different psychological mechanism, which is where the third concept, Conti, comes into play.
Conti. And we often translate this loosely as patience, right?
Loosely, yeah. But in this down-to-earth context, it is much closer to deep, active resilience. It is the skill of enduring a marathon without mentally collapsing.
I saw a note in the source material about a specific phrase used to describe this kind of resilience. It translates to something like resilience without suppression.
Yes, resilience without suppression. That
Right.
distinction is the crux of the entire concept.
Because society often teaches us that patience just means biting your tongue.
Right. Painting a fake smile on your face and burying your resentment deep down inside.
Which is toxic.
It is toxic suppression. And Conti is the exact opposite of that.
Wait, okay. If I am enduring a miserable situation, aren't I, by definition, just swallowing my feelings?
Not necessarily.
If I'm exhausted from taking care of a sick relative every single day, how do I endure that without just bottling up the frustration until I inevitably develop an ulcer or explode at someone?
Well, the critical difference lies in acceptance versus resistance.
Okay, walk me through that.
When you suppress emotions, you are in a state of constant low-grade resistance. Your internal monologue is constantly saying, I shouldn't have to deal with this, this is unfair, I want to escape.
Right.
And that mental friction is what burns you out and creates the ulcer.
So what's the alternative?
True Conti requires a profound mental shift. You move from feeling trapped to recognizing that major, meaningful achievements, whether that's raising a child, seeing a loved one through the end of their life, or building a difficult career, they require passing through a phase of sheer, unglamorous endurance.
So instead of bracing for impact every single day, you accept that you are walking a difficult road.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between driving over a deeply rutted dirt road with a rigid suspension versus heavy-duty shock absorbers.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, if your suspension is rigid, every pothole rattles the car to pieces. The shock absorber doesn't make the bumps disappear, but it fundamentally changes how the vehicle handles the impact.
And that physical analogy maps perfectly to what actually happens in the human body.
Really?
Yes. The philosophy points out, and modern science completely backs this up, that when you practice this expansive kind of acceptance, it has tangible physiological benefits.
Like what?
It physically lowers your blood pressure. It reduces cortisol levels. You aren't tightly coiled and ready to snap at the slightest provocation.
Wow.
You endure with a mind that is broad and accommodating.
So you become a long-term survivor rather than a short-term casualty of your own stress response? It reframes the exhausting burden of caregiving, or a grueling project, into a source of quiet pride. You are doing the hard thing, and you have built yourself to handle it.
You carry the weight, but you do it with grace.
That leads us to a critical breaking point, though.
Okay.
Because basic physics dictates that if a system acts as a shock absorber, indefinitely taking all those hits, carrying all that weight without any kind of release valve, the system will eventually rupture.
Absolutely. You cannot just absorb pressure forever without consequences.
Right. So how does this philosophy keep us from exploding?
Well, it introduces a mechanism for letting go. You must offload the pressure, which is the role of the final tool, jaga.
Yaga.
Yes. Now, traditionally, this concept is associated with charity or giving away material wealth.
Like donating money.
Right. But practically applied to modern life, it is about sacrificing your attachments and your ego to achieve mental lightness.
And the most striking example of this in the sources was the idea of donating a sour mood.
Yes, I love that framing.
Consciously choosing to throw away your grumpiness or the stress from your horrible commute before you walk through the front door of your house.
It is a profound act of emotional generosity.
It really is.
It requires standing at your front door, acknowledging the residual anger from the office, and actively deciding, my family did not cause this.
Right. They do not deserve to carry this weight for me.
Exactly. I'm going to sacrifice my desire to complain right now.
It's literally like taking off muddy work boots before stepping onto a pristine carpet in your living room.
That's exactly what it is.
You don't drag the dirt from the highway into your sanctuary. You take them off, you leave them on the porch, and you walk inside clean.
And beyond just managing your moods, this concept of sacrifice extends to your time and your resources too.
How so?
It means sacrificing a little bit of your precious evening relaxation to truly deeply listen to your partner or your children, rather than just nodding along while scrolling through your phone.
Oh, that hits close to home.
Right. And in a professional setting, it means willingly sharing your hard-earned knowledge and mentoring your coworkers.
Okay, I am going to stop you right there.
Oh.
Because applying this at home makes complete sense. You want a peaceful sanctuary, you want a happy family.
Sure.
But in a hyper-competitive corporate environment, if I spend my limited time mentoring colleagues and freely sharing the proprietary knowledge that makes me uniquely valuable, doesn't that just destroy my competitive edge?
It seems like it would, yeah.
I mean, I'm essentially handing them the tools to get the promotion instead of me.
Well, if you view the workplace as a strict zero-sum game, that fear is entirely rational.
Right.
But this framework operates on a deeper sociological understanding of human dynamics.
Okay.
Hoarding knowledge is fundamentally driven by ego and fear. It's the belief that you must protect everything to survive.
Which is exhausting.
Exactly. Constantly guarding your territory is mentally exhausting. When you freely give away your expertise, you dismantle that selfishness.
But does dismantling selfishness actually pay off when you're trying to climb a ruthless corporate ladder?
It pays dividends because it builds what the philosophy calls kalyanamitta.
Kalyamita.
Which means what, exactly?
It means true, authentic friendships and alliances.
Ah,
When you sacrifice your need to be the sole expert, you aren't just giving away data. You are building a vast network of loyalty.
I see.
You transform your environment from a hostile battlefield into an ecosystem where people actively want to support you because you have already proven your investment in their success.
So you're playing the long game.
Very long.
The person who hoards knowledge might win a short-term battle, but the person who elevates the entire team becomes indispensable to the organization.
And your mind literally becomes lighter because you aren't constantly looking over your shoulder to see who is catching up to you.
Wow. You achieve a state of lightness and security that paranoia and hypercompetitiveness can just never provide.
Never. Let's pull all these threads together for everyone listening right now. We have explored a highly practical toolkit for navigating the chaos of modern life.
You really have.
It starts with Saja, building your internal and external credit score through relentless reliability.
Making sure your word actually means something.
Right. Then you protect that credit by mastering your emotional operating system with Tama, forcing that 5-second pause and constantly upgrading your skills to stay relevant.
Keeping the bugs out and the features fresh.
Yeah, exactly. From there, you develop Kanti, the deep resilience of a heavy-duty shock absorber, enduring the long marathons of stress without resorting to toxic suppression.
Resilience without suppression.
And finally, you create a necessary release valve with Jaga, taking off the muddy boots of a bad mood and sacrificing your ego to lighten your mental load and build genuine alliances.
It's an incredibly comprehensive system.
What is so powerful about this approach is that it requires absolutely nothing outside of yourself.
Nothing at all.
You don't need a subscription, you don't need a new app, and you don't need to fly to a retreat in the mountains. This starts today.
The very next time your alarm goes off.
Right. Or the next time an email makes your blood boil.
The application is immediate and it is deeply personal.
So here is the challenge we want to leave you with, straight from the underlying philosophy.
Think about this one.
Take a hard, honest look at your current life and your daily stressors. Of these 4 tools, keeping your word to yourself, mastering your sudden anger, enduring a difficult situation without resentment, or letting go of your ego to share with others, which one of those is the absolute hardest for you to put into practice today?
And honestly, the answer to that question usually points exactly to where your actual work needs to begin.
Next time you feel like the treadmill of life is moving too fast, remember, you already have the tools to adjust the speed. Until next time, keep diving deep.